Tell me your full name and your Evelyn Goodwin Hobbs, right?
Evelyn Kathleen Goodwin Hobbs.
Okay. Where were you born?
Bristol, Virginia, in Washington County.
In the county? Okay.
Yeah, it was county then.
What do you remember about Papa and Granddaddy? About their mom and dad, or any? Do you remember any of that when they were?
I remember Mommy's daddy, and Daddy's mother, but I don't remember Mommy's mother because she died before Mommy and Daddy were married.
Oh.
She died when she was I think she was 12 or 13 years old when she died.
What's the earliest thing you remember in your life?
The first thing that I remember most is when we lived at North Bristol. First, you mean my first?
Very first thing you remember.
I remember that we lived in a little 4-room house out there, and Mommy was in the kitchen cooking supper, and Daddy was working, but I don't remember where he worked, and she was waiting for him to come to eat supper, and Alvin had a little kitty car, and she was mopping the floor, and he was running across the floor with that kitty car, tracking her floor up.
What year do you think that was?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really know. Guess I was about 5 years old. That's.
Maybe 1920.
I know, but I don't. I might.
1922, 23, right?
Probably.
Okay. What do you remember about growing up? Just think back. I mean, you can't have a wrong answer here.
Should I tell him?
To tell you?
Yeah, tell him. But you hit me in the head.
Well, when I was 11 years old, Mommy went to work, and I stayed at the house and kept the kids and watched them, and kept house when I was 11. And I had to have supper ready when she came home. And one day we played longer than we were supposed to. I'd get out and play with them, kids. And we'd build playhouses, moss.
Okay.
The only thing is you just can't think of things.
I know it's hard. Well, we got all day. We got lots of tape, so.
Well, it was late when I thought about supper. We'd played too long. And I went in the house, and there wasn't any water to start supper, and I still had to build a fire. And Pauline, I was trying to get him to go get me a bucket of water. We had to carry water from a spring. And she wouldn't go. So I got mad and hit her over the head with the bucket, and that's what she's talking about. And then we had to go get the water. And then I started supper when we got back. But that's what she was talking about. She wanted me.
Well, where did Baba work?
It's a big jack.
Is that like a
Overalls.
They made overalls? What granddad did?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's working at the packing house, but it wasn't where it is now. It was down there where the railroad, Euclid crosses the railroad in there, where there's a building there, feed store, I believe, now.
On the other side?
Yeah, it used to be along in that place there, and he worked there.
Where did you go to school?
North Bristol.
North Bristol. Is that what became Virginia High School?
No, now it's just, I don't know what it is now, but when we go up through there, it's just looks like cars and things around it. Might be a junk pile or something. It just had it's either 3 or 4 rooms, And then I was in the sixth grade, I think, and I was supposed to be in the seventh because I had to miss school a lot. And the teacher skipped the grade with me to put me. I could have went to Virginia High and started as a freshman from there. But I don't know whether I'd have made it or not.
Okay. Going back to Baba and Granddaddy, do you remember, did they ever tell you about, where they're from or any of that, or where were their people from?
Well, now Mommy's people was from Greenville, Tennessee. They lived in Greenville in the county down there, not in the city, but in the county.
What about Granddaddy?
And there was some of Daddy's people. You know where Stone Drive goes through Kingsport? All of that land along there was Daddy's people. It was his mother's brothers. A farm. It used to be a huge farm. And they cut it up into subdivisions, and they built that highway and a lot of stuff through there.
Do you know anything about when they met or any of that, or where they met, or?
Daddy and Mommy?
Yeah.
Well, they lived close together. I think they sneaked around. Do you know where I doubt if you do, though. The Hamiltons lived on a corner. What's his? Huh? Bradley Street. And then Mommy lived on the corner of Catherine and Bradley. And that was just 2 or 3 houses between them. And I think they seen each other there. They lived close together.
And they got married. You were the first. And
Yeah.
Who was after you, Uncle Alvin?
Alvin.
And you don't remember just being by yourself before Uncle Alvin?
No.
How old were you when Uncle Alvin was born?
2.
That would explain. You remember your first car ride?
First what?
Ride in a car.
Mm-mm.
You remember
Oh, yes, I do. Daddy bought we lived in Kingsport, and he was working at the Eastman. He was a night watchman down there. And he bought an old used car. It was a Ford. And he hadn't ever driven before, but he did. Take it out over the fields there, go around and around in circles till he learned to drive it.
Oh, yeah.
But we never did take it. He never did take it any places.
I don't ever remember him driving any.
That's the only time I remember too, him driving. But he did. That's the first ones, I guess, the first I remember.
Who was your first boyfriend?
I never had a boyfriend except Luther.
Well,
Just
he was your first boyfriend.
yeah.
When did you meet Luther?
I guess we seen each other a year before we got married. There was boys that I had crushes on, and boys that had crushes on me some, but I never dated because Mom wouldn't let me if I'd have wanted to. I was 15 because we went together about a year, and then we was married the 4th of September 1933.
How old were you?
I was 16,
16 when you got
and he
Ah.
was 18.
married. Where was he from?
He was from Bristol.
How did you meet him?
I was at my aunt's one day, and she was working, and I was supposed to be keeping the kids. And my cousin Geneva, you know Geneva, I was sweeping their back porch, and their back porch, well, it's like just faced each other. And she hollered down there and she said, Luther, up here's your sweetheart. Well, I wasn't expecting her because I had never even seen anybody around. I was sweeping. So I got down behind the banister to keep anybody from seeing me. And then later on that evening, he come up there and he was talking to Uncle Roy. And I didn't talk to him. I didn't even speak to him or anything. I went in the house. And then a Sunday or two after that, he came over to our house. And we sat out on the front porch in the swing.
Let's go back a little bit from there before you met Uncle Luther. You were the oldest one in the family. There's obviously a lot of responsibility put on you. Tell me about some of that. I mean, I know Baba and Granddaddy had to work.
Well, I just had to do the things that a woman would have had to do. And your mom, she took her first steps to me. She was my little girl. She was precious. She still is. But anyway, she took her first steps to me, and she's always been special. All of them are special, but she's special.
Getting a little misty here. You've got a lot of grandchildren of your own.
Yeah. I'm proud of every one of them.
When this video will be seen for 300 years, I mean, this is going to be around after all of us are gone. Probably after your grandchildren are gone, this will be around. Hopefully, it'll be something that they can hang on to. What would you say to people that aren't your great grandchildren way down the line about life and about the way to treat people and stuff like that?
Well, the thing that we've got to go by is the Bible. And if we live by the Bible, we're going to be nice and we're going to be good to everybody. We'll love everybody, no matter what they do, because they get forgiveness for what they do. And we're to love them no matter what. And to love each other. The last time Jesus said to his disciples just before he was crucified, "A new commandment I give you, love one another." And love is greatest thing I think there is, besides the Holy Spirit in our Lord.
What would you tell them that you and Uncle Luther would have them know about the two of you?
That we loved each other. And we worked hard and did without things that we really needed, but we came through it. And we were just as happy and loved each other just as much if we'd had everything, or more probably.
My mind's blank here. I had about 10 great questions I wanted to ask you here. They go back when you were growing up. Can you tell me more about, like, just growing up? Do you remember any stories about when you were, even in high school or?
I didn't go to high school.
Well, that era when you were a teenager.
The most, what I remember the most, and seems to be a special day, was the day I was baptized out North Bristol Baptist. Well, I was saved in the North Bristol Baptist Church, and there was a college campus out there, and they had the lake where that potato chip place is, right out from the church. Well, that was a lake in there, a man-made lake, of course. It's springs, and they had they were baptizing there, and there was a whole group of young people at that time baptized, young boys and girls, just a whole big group. I don't know how many. There's just and we all wore white dresses, and the boys wore white ducks, they called them then. I believe is what it was, and white shirts. And we all were in the water. It was in the water at the same time. And he baptized all of us before we all came out. So that was a special day.
How old were you then?
14.
Tell me about your first house that you and Uncle Luther had.
Boy. Well, he bought that 2 lots together up there. They'd already been house on the front, and that house had burned. And we got that 2 lots for $300. And somebody had got a loan on the lots and couldn't pay it. So we went to the loan company, and they put it in our name, and we paid $5 a month on that till we paid for those 2 lots. And then he went to Benham's. They had some property out there, and bought and cut trees and logs and built a little one-room house there out of logs, and we had big plank floors in there, rough. That's what they used to use to. They put that in before they put the other floor over that, and so we put that big flooring in there. And I went to work at the weaving mill long enough to buy the flooring to put over the top of that, and then I stayed with the kids again. And it took us a little while to do that. We put mud in between the logs, and we had lamps there. And when I'd go to work, I could look back and see the lamp through the cracks were big. And we put mud in that just mud to stop the cracks up.
Mom always said that y'all's house was like a second home. Everybody went up there.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I've always wanted my family around as much as I could. Well, other people too. But my house was always open for my family and my sisters, brothers, mother and dad, whatever.
Did Baba and Granddaddy like Uncle Luther?
They did. Mommy didn't at first, but then she changed her mind in a little while because he was good to her. But Luther and Daddy used to wrestle. They were good friends. Daddy and Luther was.
So, well, can y'all think of anything?
They built another house on the front of their lot. They built a little log cabin up on the hill. Then they built another house. I think I've showed it to you. So they would stay in that log cabin.
Well, no, she's had a couple of houses since then, it seems.
Yeah, but I thought maybe that would. Well, it don't have to be that way. I mean,
Well,
tell me
after
about
the
that. Tell me.
after the little.
I'm waiting for you to answer.
How long did you live in that log cabin?
We lived there long enough to, let's see, Betty was born in that. I tell her she was born in a barn. We used it for a barn after we built another house down on the front of the lot. We built 4 rooms, and then we added 2 rooms to it later.
And did you built another house in front of it?
No. This is the one. Yeah, this was the house that we built in front of the log house.
Oh, okay.
And then when we left there, we lived there 7 years and sold it and moved out on Alabama Street. And then we moved from Alabama Street to Wanted Hill. And Luther was working at the Eastman by that time. So he would ride the bus backwards and forwards to. Well, he worked at, what's that, Host and Ordnance. But you see, it belonged to the Eastman. So when it shut down at the time, after the war, he went to work at the Eastman.
What do you remember about the war?
Not very much of that. I was scared to death all the time.
Oh, were you?
That somebody, yeah. Well, Alvin was in all of that. And Luther, he went to Richmond and it was examined for it, but he didn't pass because of the family. He had a family, and I mean they wouldn't take him because he had.
The Holston Ordnance made weapons and stuff for the
Mm-hmm.
army, didn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember what he did there?
No, I don't know what he did down there then. I did know, but I'd forgot now.
You said the first thing you remember is, do you remember each of the brothers and sisters coming along? Of course you don't remember Uncle Alvin, but.
No, let's see, and Pauline was born then in, I think in that same house, but I don't remember anything about that. I don't remember anything about her birth or anything. But I do Madeline, she was born, we had moved down in the holler down there in a house with some people, and she was born in that house. In these people's, we was living there till Daddy built a house right out from there in between two hills, and it stood empty for a while till we could get in it. It wasn't finished even when we moved in. So one day, Mommy was sitting, she was in the room doing something, I don't know, she might have been peeling potatoes or something, I don't know. But anyway, I looked up and there was a big old black snake coming down the wall inside. And there was a boy there around. I don't know when he came, whether it was right away or not, but anyway, he killed it and took it out and done something with it. I don't know what now. But I think about that a lot.
About the black snake?
Yeah, I think about it sometimes.
Well, what was the rest of the house like? Was it pretty?
Then?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was just, it didn't have petitions or anything in it. And it wasn't finished, the loft or anything. It's just the outside of it, I guess.
This was the house that Baba and Granddaddy had,
Mm-hmm.
that you lived in.
Yeah.
You basically grew up in it, or?
No, we wasn't there no time. We never did live anywhere very long. Daddy and Mommy didn't.
Oh, you did? But you mostly lived around Bristol.
Well, they talk about living in Crockett, Virginia, and other places, but I don't remember any of it.
You lived
But-
there, you were just too young.
Yeah. I remember living in Kingsport when Daddy was worked at the Eastman for a while. But they moved a lot.
What do you remember about your kids coming along?
Oh, that was a good time. Well, my first one, as you know, died, and I almost, but it didn't. Still here. That was good times to waiting on those kids to get here.
You had two sisters die too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
One of them was stillborn, and the other one died real young.
Yeah, she's 7 months.
What was their names?
Thelma. Thelma Lee, I believe, was the one that was 7 months old, and the other one they named her Ruby.
That's right. Was she, what order was she in?
She was between Madeline and Edna, I believe.
And Thelma was later.
Thelma was after Linda.
What do you remember about Bobby coming
Not very much. Me and Mommy was pregnant at the same time.
along? Really?
Yeah. See, Betty, I was pregnant with Betty, and she was pregnant with Bobby. And We lived in that little old log house now on the hill when I was pregnant with Betty. But we had to carry water. And we had a little oil stove that we cooked on. We just had that one room, big room at the time, but then a little later we built a little lean-to kitchen onto that. And we had, in the room where the big room that we had first, we had a big bed and a dresser and a wardrobe and a baby bed. And we must have had some other kind of a bed because there was Harold and Lynn. I don't know, I can't remember whether we had another bed at that time or not for them. But I remember getting up in that little baby bed and going to sleep myself with the baby when they'd go to sleep in daytime.
Well, I had a great one there, and it just
Oh, I'm sorry.
ran right off. I think I've about got everything I need. Is there anything you want to say? I mean, what's your best time in your life? What's the best time that you remember? Vacation, whatever.
The best time in my life is when all my children was at home, and we could be at home together at night and have a good time together. Play, talk, do whatever. Eat.
Yeah, that's big. Okay, well, I think that's it. I mean,
That was
is that
good.
okay?